without having this activist geeking one of your clients. You sort of couldn't get through. They wouldn't trust you. That it would be too technical.
Yeah, we were discussing a project, and they were saying we have this feeling that you guys are approaching this too much from a technological perspective. It needs to be more human.
Yeah.
And then we had like 3 discussions, and then the 3rd discussion there was no criticism anymore at all. I thought, what happened? Because in between nothing in the discussion changed, and then one of them said, actually during the weekend I read your blog, and I'm totally okay now with your proposal because I know that you will behave the way that we need it.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that if you use if you sort of maybe unify the business world with the ideas of the open web, but that's sort of a higher goal we can achieve. Then we can achieve.
The paradigm.
Yeah. I mean, I've both been part of the whole start of the whole blogging culture, and so it changed as well. It also helped it move forward in the Netherlands, really, to make companies aware, to make agencies aware that there's this new thing happening right now called blogging and social media and stuff like that. And somewhere everything got sort of lost in the silos, and now it's time to move that
absorbed into a marketing only focus.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, all that social media stuff, the blogging became about marketing.
Yeah, it's all
and not about peer-to-peer learning, professionals exchanging ideas.
Yeah.
Were you guys part of like any message boards back in the day when those things were popular?
No.
Message boards?
Yeah. Well, no more news groups than before that.
Okay, yeah. So that's sort of similar.
Yeah.
Those are pre-social media.
Yep, the IRC.
Yeah, I've been online since '89 on a daily basis.
Yeah, 93, 94-ish.
Yeah, I was early because I was in electronic engineering. We were right on the backbone.
We started an internet service provider in the Netherlands, so then you're always online.
Our student association had their domain earlier than the university, and then we had to release the domain again because the university said you have to be on a subdomain. That was when domains in the Netherlands were very strictly regulated.
Yeah.
So we had to release our first domain again. We weren't allowed to by the university.
I think I'm going to take a break and put some of the notes on the wiki or on the Etherpad.
Yeah. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah. Just digging digital. That's my website, and then you'll find it over there as well. Yeah, it's on the bottom. Yeah. But only tweet in Dutch. You need some machine translation.
I think Bing is what.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Who's doing the session?
No, I'm not joining. I'm taking.
This is
it's supposed to be offline. Offline, yeah.
There you go there.
Don't we need the projector?
Two offline.
Yes, please. Just talking to Yoshi like.
Great. What's yours? There's only the @ sign on the.
Where'd it go?
So, yeah,
Cowglow. Oh, that's right. It got cold.
Oh, and then one more button. Where's the remote?
I think the beamer is off.
Yeah, where's the there?
How do you pronounce your last name? Just Sa?
So. It'll fit. It's small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
If anyone is reading that, I can show you enlarge.
Yes, please.
Better?
Keep going, keep going. Let's let it swing from left to the right.
Kannst du die Schwanzlinie vielleicht wegmachen?
Nee.
Hast du keine transparenten Kabel?
Let's see how responsive GitHub is. Yeah, no, that's something they need to work on. Yeah, but basically we won't need to read all the stuff because it's mainly about. The first question I want to ask is, are there any questions about offline first or about taking websites offline? Anything that you want to have answered? Or is it just you have a certain interest and want me to explain?
I have a particular challenge that I'm trying to solve, which is, so I have like a bunch of apps, like Quill, which we saw. I have one that I use to log what I eat. And when I'm on an airplane, I don't have internet. And I can't log anything when I'm on an airplane, because it needs internet.
Yes.
It seems like there's a way to make this app an offline app. So I can launch it on the phone even with no internet.
Yes.
And also have a way to write data into some sort of local cache. So the next time it has internet, it can do things with that data. Does that seem reasonable? I feel like that's a thing that should be possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough to know how to do it.
Yes, I don't know how to do it, but I know the concept behind it.
So what I would love to see is like I went through a minimal micropub example. I would love to see a minimal example of starting with a blank HTML page. How do we turn it into something that you can install as an offline app on a phone, and then do things in code with that? Because I have no idea what that looks like right now.
Okay.
Last time I tried any of this was before service workers were like brand new, and it was the other one that was the like app cache or whatever, which was the thing everybody was doing, and apparently that doesn't matter anymore and it's dead.
No.
So that's the last time I've touched this.
Yeah, app
So
cache
I'm
is actually deprecated.
okay. Glad I didn't spend too much time learning it then.
Yeah.
And probably also need background sync for that as well.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember how. Yeah, I don't remember how that works.
Yeah, there was a very famous or infamous post on a list part by Jake Archibald called "App Cache is a douchebag."
Okay.
And that ended all things about app cache because it has so many issues and so many bugs. It's not cross-browser compatible. It does things differently everywhere, and that was the point where everyone said, "Okay, thanks, I'm done with it." And then along came Service Worker, and Service Worker is a script, JavaScript file you put on your server in the root.
It doesn't have to be in the root.
It doesn't have to be in the root, but ideally you have it there if you wanted to take control of everything that's there. Because if you put it in if you only want to make your images available offline, you can also put it in your images folder.
But it's scoped.
It's
Okay.
Scoped, yeah.
So yeah, now let's go into I wrote the Service Worker from scratch, and as I said, I only knew no HTML, CSS. So this is hardly all the JavaScript I know, because I learned it from a course which is free online on Udemy by Jake Archibald, the guy who invented the Service Worker. So if you want to learn about it, I highly encourage taking that course. The link is in the repository. I'm going to send the link to the repository in the Slack chat. And I wrote all the documentation here in comments for me, so I know what this code is doing. Because if I only read it, I wouldn't understand. And well, I got feedback that, hey, wow, that's like the best documented service worker I've ever seen. That's great. And I thought, yeah, thanks, it's for me. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. So, what you need to make your website offline available is a service worker script, a manifest.json file giving your website certain the browser certain information it needs, and then let's just go through this. This first part here, I'm going to mark it, is just asking, of if the browser understands ES6, which is a new standard in JavaScript. If it doesn't, then it will stop right there and won't go on parsing the rest of the script, because if it doesn't understand this, then it won't understand the rest.
Just a question. This is your service worker file.
Yes.
So actually, this is superfluous. You don't need that. Because all the browsers who understand service workers understand ES6.
Exactly, yeah.
So
It's just to prevent all the others from looking at this. So and then I create a cache. It's like, I would love to think of a cache like a bucket. I have a bucket and I want to put stuff in there, and I give this bucket a name. In this case, I call it project name -110. And as it says in the documentation here, it should be updated to a new unique value every time the service worker updates, which happens when there's new content, or you upload a new image, or you have a new comment. And every time this happens, there's new content on your website. And in order to make this available offline, you need to update your service worker cache, because this cache gets invalidated and replaced with this new cache, with this new information. Somehow like that. Then I need to create the scope under which the worker will run. In my case, because I want to make my whole website available offline, it's root. Then I look for, it's hard to explain this in English because I never did this before, so please stay with me. Function which looks for matches inside the cache storage and returns all the things. Like, we look in our bucket, what's inside of there, like an index HTML, a style sheet, and maybe some images. Very basic HTML page. And then I look if I can match these requests and send a response to the server, to the browser, sorry. What's very powerful is if something's not cached yet, someone's visiting your website for the first time, and so the service worker hasn't installed on their machine, but he is already, oh gosh, I'm so bad at this, sorry. Please stay with me.
I can help you explain if you like.
That would be very
Because
nice.
actually, this looks a lot more complicated than everything you need. Because actually, the service worker file only needs to have one callback inside, and then it's a valid service worker. The thing about service workers basically is mostly that it's able to intercept any request to the network. That's all it does. And all the functions you have there, that's your personal strategy of handling this request, actually. So it's kind of confusing that you begin with dealing with your strategy.
Yeah,
there has to be probably somewhere down the file, I don't know. You should probably start there. And it's like you have this one, South Add Event Listener installed. This is something that's going to run only once, and that is when the service worker is installed, and it's always installed whenever the service worker version changes. The service worker is installed in your browser once. That's the first time you requested it from the network. And whenever you have a new service worker, basically what you said wasn't really correct, because if your website changes, you don't have to update the service worker, actually. Only when the service worker changes.
But if you want your website to change, like if you add an image and you want to add that to the service worker?
No, because, no. Actually, the version of the service worker only has to change when the service worker changes, when the functionality of the service worker changes. And the service worker is installed into the browser and will stay there until another version of it comes and is going to be installed.
Okay.
An install event is only called at that very moment, when it's installed. So this is a one-time action, actually. What are you doing there? Let me see. Okay, what you're doing here is you're using the install event to cache a couple of static things you want to deliver when something is offline. So you don't depend on being connected to the network. And the second event you're using is the activate event. That's something that usually happens right after the service worker was installed, but it's not done in the very same moment, because the service worker is possibly active in multiple windows. If you have, for example, if you have opened a couple of tabs to the same domain, then service worker is running in all the other tabs as well. You can't just switch it out, you can't just swap it out because it's still working. So it's going to be activated as soon as all of the other instances are dead, which basically means you close your browser or something. So the activation event is also only called once, sometime after the installation, but before, and now move down again. And now you have that, this is the most important thing, it's the fetch event actually, and this is the only event that is, you need to have this in your service worker file, otherwise it's not a service worker. And this is the event that intercepts all requests. And then here you have some logic. What are you going to do with
Which button was tapped and when?
Okay.
So what's required for that? We need the
do you want or should I?
So you weren't ready?
Sure, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
It's kind of a tricky question, by the way,
yeah, it is.
because it's advanced. What are you talking about?
It's already very advanced because you already
Okay.
also need to listen for certain interactions like clicks
Yeah.
and stuff, which makes it complicated because you can kind
Make a post request.
Yeah.
And then the service worker
But
can intercept that.
In this example, you don't have to listen to the click event for the button, for
Right.
example, but still that's possible as well with a certain technique, because there's like one single way how you can communicate from the DOM with the service worker, and that's a feature called messages. You can just push arbitrary messages into the service worker, and you have to listen for this message, and then in the service worker you can do whatever you want. You kind of send in signals into the service worker, arbitrary ones.
If I may simplify the service worker a bit, then it's just a file that's starting a sort of a service that listens for events, and one of those events can be the activate and install method.
Yeah.
That will be by the browser. The fetch event will also get called by the browser if you fetch something, but you can.
It's not the session cache, it's like
Or
cache.
cache storage.
It's the cache storage API actually, and you can use that for populating with all sorts of stuff. You can basically cache everything into that caching layer, and it's mostly then about how you want to. It's mostly about the question: when do I want to fetch fresh content from the web, or which contents do I deliver from like the cache? And you basically have several strategies. The one strategy is the browser requests a resource. You're going to fetch it from the web, so the user is going to get a fresh version of it. And the second action takes is it's also caching the freshly fetched resource into the internal cache. And in the case that you're offline, you will try to get it from the web. It will fail because you're not connected, and then you will get it from the cache. That's one strategy. The other strategy is the user requests a resource. You're looking into the cache. You may find it there. You're going to deliver it from the cache. So it's really super fast because there's no request done so far. But in the background, as a second action, the service worker will try to fetch a new version of that file and update the cache. So the next time you're going to fetch the same resource, it will be delivered from the cache. So web again, as long as you've got a cached version of it. But this is all this logic is up to you. So that's what you're doing in the what you're doing in the whole lines of code up there.
For example, what I prefer to do is like fetch the skeleton from our website always, and always just on the second step I look up on the server if something is new. I always look in the cache first. So my style sheet, for example, won't change that often, or my scripts won't change that often, or my images, they also won't change that often. So those are files made for looking into cache storage first, and then look on the server if something changed. But my HTML, like my homepage or blogs or like what Yoshi just said, blog list, for example, is constantly updating or daily updating or something. There you want to look on the server first, serve content from there, like it's fresh, and then put it in the cache storage, and on the second visit you serve it from there.
What's a really neat feature, so Jeremy's doing it in his book, he's using a double strategy actually. Within the service worker, he's caching all sorts of files. And in the regular JavaScript of his page, he's using the session storage to only store, like it's like a twin of the service worker's cache. He's like only storing the titles, and I think the date when a file was requested last time. And what's possible then is that when he's offline, he's going to deliver a readily prepared, as you did as well, a readily prepared offline page, with including the logo and stuff like that, saying, oops, you're not connected to the web. We can't get the resource you requested. But we know that we already cached these files, and then he reads out all the session cache actually, and lists all the files that are in the cache of the service worker. So you get kind of a menu of what you can still browse while being offline, which is quite a nice thing, I think.
Yeah. For example, if you have a blog and someone visited your homepage and read 2, 3 articles, and suddenly, because he's on a train, and suddenly he's offline, he will request another page, he will see the offline page and has a list, hey, we can serve you content, but those are contents you already seen, and you can go back to those articles because they are already on your machine. You won't need the network for that.
So to use your example of like posting something, maybe even with images and stuff, they would get filtered by the service worker, and you would try to deliver it to the web, like post it to maybe like a micropub endpoint or something. It will fail, and then could decide, well, just put it into the cache and use background sync to try and upload it as soon as you've got connection again.
So background sync, is that a new API?
That's actually a different type of thing. It's closely related to the service worker, but it's not exactly that. I've just read about it. I've never done it in person. I always wanted to do it, so maybe this could be a cool project for tomorrow. Just to try it out.
The promise of it is that, for example, you're running a shop and you sell t-shirts, and someone is browsing your shop, puts stuff in his cart, and then wants to check out. And suddenly, during the checkout process, he loses connection. And then you can, first of all, you can say, okay, I already stored all the stuff on your machine. You can still go to the checkout. You can provide your data. And as soon as you say, buy this stuff, then I use background sync to store the data and wait for the internet to come back and then send.
Okay.
And then, of course, in terms of user experience, you want to tell people, hey, sorry, you're offline, you can buy it now, but we made the request, so please don't buy it again, because we already got your information that you want to buy it. Thanks.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's pretty cool.
That is cool. It looks like it's not very well supported right now, so not something...
There's a website called Is Service Worker Ready Yet?
Okay.
Here we go. And it says yes. That's pretty optimistic, but it also is pretty, like, you get very specific information on what is supported already in all major browsers and what is not. So currently we are in, as I started working with service workers 2 years ago, this was all red and yellow. Like, we have some support and we don't know about the spec is still changing and maybe. But nowadays it's pretty much green all the way with only background sync. Still has major issues, but of course Chrome supports it because Jake Archibald works for Google. Chrome is a Google product, so there you can do everything. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Chrome. Firefox, but here we go. Yeah. So we're getting there. Also going to post this link in Slack chat.
There's only 10 minutes left, but I kind of want to see, is it possible to write a simple web page with a simple service worker that caches itself in 10 minutes from scratch?
Probably you can.
Can you do it, since I don't know how?
Well, I would say plug your laptop into the screen, you're going to make it together. Because actually it's really simple. You're going to type, because you're typing way faster than I do.
You're typing so fast.
Yeah.
That's very...
I would probably make a typo every 3 characters, something so.
Here.
one is for? It's the page you're gonna request or like an offline page?
Oh, this is the page that I want to be available offline.
Okay, so it can be called offline. Maybe we're not that anymore. Just put all the usual stuff for an HTML into that. Okay, done. How does this look? HTML5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me create a JavaScript file. I call it so.
Shall we get a separate file?
Yeah, it must be a separate file. You're gonna link it into the page with a link href.
Script source.
Script source or link href?
Always,
Sorry.
sorry.
It's a link, but it's-
yeah,
I always use it as a script file,
Yeah.
like this.
Like this. I need to get my laptop, sorry.
I can show it to you.
Okay, the source code of the Nürnberg digital website.
See how it's done?
Actually, you can use that as an example.
Find service worker.
Find the word service worker.
It's very large, but
Sorry.
It's double three, that's normal.
like this.
Now,
That was great. I like that.
You're using the spec.
Yeah, I thought you had to register in JavaScript.
Yes,
No.
it was like that, and now there's.
So you can open it. Just click on it and have a look into the source worker. It's minified. I don't know if your browser just unfolds it. It does not.
Is there a Chrome button for that?
Actually, Chrome does this.
Yeah, but then you have to go through developer tools. If you go through developer tools, then
Yeah, exactly. That's the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then just do that.
Service worker. It's on the console.
Oh, is it somewhere in there already?
Find
Yeah.
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 There it is.
Or
There's
is
source. Source. So this is on the
This
right.
click
this
on
is what
the-
I wanted. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Click on the brackets. Click on the brackets on the down. Go down on the brackets. Click it. Pretty good.
There we go.
So. And it's a pretty basic one. Actually, all the stuff up there is just like arrays of files. I don't want to cache and stuff like that. So what you want to have probably is the we just make a basic example. Okay, so you don't need anything and install that or something. Okay, so basically what you need is just go down there. It's pretty much the same as with Marcos. You need the fetch event. You need to listen to the fetch event. Okay, it's maybe fine. I'm sorry.
Where's this running?
In the service
Event
worker.
listening, so just like that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it should work. What is it going to do? What is it
Path of
going to
index
do?
type of 3 update. Just update the paths. The path.
So, what do you think?
Right.
You're getting an event into that function.
Main console will log this already, or is it? Main console will log from this thing?
Yeah.
But
can log a lot of
then
things.
then you have.
Actually, the only thing is if you don't do anything inside this event handler, then the request will just go out to the web and fetch the resource. So what you can do is like maybe comment everything out there because it's all a custom logic, and just keep the one variable t, which is like because of minification, it's the request object that you get into the event, and just log this to the console maybe, and just comment out the rest. So you're going to see what's going to end up in your event. So what you need as well as a manifest file.
Oh yeah. Separate file?
Separate file is call it
Manifest.json.
manifest.json. There's like actually there are generators on the web. That's probably
I can always copy yours.
Oh yeah, to do that. Person there you go.
only used for the interface, like when you have a splash screen, then this image gets displayed, or on the home screen, there's a little icon then, so those images are needed there.
What is starting around? Actually, that's just for the manifest. I don't know. Root. Yeah, but it doesn't have to say anything on the service worker. Okay. The service worker scope, where, like Marco explained, wherever it is, that directory and downwards is available.
We'll just
You can ignore the rest. Yeah.
and then add this to as a link route.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
Yes,
yeah.
link role
Yeah.
manifest. Exactly.
Exactly. So actually,
So this
now
should do something.
Now we've got a working service worker. I would recommend doing what we did before. Load that application tab of the developer tools. Yeah, because here you're going to see the service workers that are installed, and you see that's event
It
one.
is from other domains.
Okay,
So it's not yet
So it's
installed.
not installed.
it's not installed yet. Did you reload after like doing all that stuff?
Yeah.
Do it once again, please.
Oh,
So
okay.
you did find
Okay.
the
The
There it
manifest.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, you did find the
Manifest
manifest
there.
and the service worker.
No.
Still not sure.
You need to
You don't, you have to open.
I'd recommend adding the head element. I'm not sure because you said it's mentioned on our, I'm not really sure. Maybe shut down. And there's one important requirement which is fulfilled. It needs to be served by an HTTPS.
Yeah,
So it's what-
I would
yeah,
never got
that's
Yeah, it's secure.
the requirement.
Should we double check that out?
Yeah.
It's okay that it's a relative path.
It is okay, I think, yes.
Does getting a console.
It's not even picked up. Maybe at the install and activate events. They might be empty. I'm not sure. I'm just not going to empty because all I'm doing here is
Let's put the comment here.
that's because of unification. Just remove it. It's valid JavaScript file, right? Okay. Now we get it to
Well, that's fine.
Is it not collapsed?
Is it relevant that we're offline with speech? Yeah, with HTML and then in the index of this thing? Could that be relevant?
Sorry?
Is it relevant that we're in offline.html
No.
instead of?
No.
Not relevant.
maybe add the strict, the first line. The use strict in this. Yeah. Not sure if it's required, but.
What does the console say? I mean, there's, okay, no, that's not that
Okay.
full.
What else do we need for it?
It's
Yeah,
mainly
so
freeze.
it's not even loaded, so there's something really wrong there. I mean, there could be an error. We could tell you that's an error. That we can tell you that's an error. Maybe make it a root relative file. Where is the? It's in a subfolder. Where's the service worker file? Is the service okay? It's the same. And maybe put slash IWC offline service worker. Yeah,
Just write that.
yeah.
No?
There's something very very basic missing.
Yeah. I think we're. Are you sure? Yeah.
Where it says servers, workers from other domains?
Those are service workers installed from other websites.
Really?
Yeah, you already got
Yeah.
you.
A lot.
By clicking unregistered.
Can you filter through those?
No.
Can you
Oh,
check?
no.
Can you check this update or reload?
Okay, it's not loading there.
By the way, the offline checkbox you can simulate network.
Oh,
This
that's
is
cool.
Yeah, they can clean all data.
No, not sure.
Yeah, your In the JavaScript on your page.
Yeah.
On your
You
page.
need, a
you
short
write
script,
navigator.
on your page. You can test for service worker availability, or we can assume that it's working, so it's just a one-liner.
So it's navigator. Dot service worker. Dot register. That's a function where you put your.
So what's the link route for?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Not
Maybe you
doing
don't
it.
need it.
I think you do, but only for one.
Try
it
I
out.
didn't.
Yeah, now it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's erroring.
Now we have it.
Yeah,
Yeah, static hash name.
that's
Because I
kind of-
had
yeah.
code in here.
You can just skip these two functions because actually they don't really.
So now how do I clear the service worker? Do I have to, oh, that's what that check
Yeah.
box says.
That's kind of forcing reinstallation, but you only have one. Okay, so
Okay, so that worked. So I
So-
made 2 requests.
yeah, you made 2 requests. You see, it's going to request the manifest, true, and then the next one is
My
right.
like,
So it even you have the request for the manifest JSON. You could like cache it now. You could if you don't do anything, the request will just get sent to the network.
Okay. if, how do I cache this page?
Okay, have a look at the Nürnberg Digital Festival, maybe. It's the complicated thing about it is that all the cache activities asynchronous. So you have a lot of promises there. You're opening a cache. That one is an arbitrary name. You decide what it is. You open the cache, you're going to get a promise, and when the promise is resolved, you're adding resources. In this case, that's the symbol for the cache. Get back that open cache, and you add, this is a new array of resources.
And you can find that up in this chunk. In the top.
Yeah, what I did that. Exactly. These are like static resources. I always want to have the cache as soon as the service worker is installed. It's going to cache that, and I have an explicit offline page. It's just a skeleton with oops, you're not connected.
So you're not caching this page.
I'm caching this page. That's way down below because I have like 3 or 4 different strategies. What I told you, first call from the network, then from cache, and the other way around. I prepared like functions for that, so I can easily handle them, and I'm just deciding on the scroll down to the end, probably. Okay. First of all, I'm seeing if it's something that I don't want to cache at all. Because, for example, I don't want to cache everything that's part of the content system. No reason to do that. And then I'm examining. For example, I'm matching HTML files by type, and I'm caching them with a particular strategy. Yeah, possibly.
So you have to explicitly add this page to the cache.
Exactly.
And then the next time the browser mentions it,
Exactly.
it'll be returned.
Exactly. Depending on the strategy you choose. And it's always like promises, and if you don't have network connectivity, the promise will fail. And the catch block, you're going to have the next step. If it fails to get it from that block, then you're going to have a cache and so on. But that was your first. So
Yeah.
it's working. It's still nothing, but it's working. It's technically working.